Probably during this time anyway.
Oh, look, I'm drinking and then you go live. Way to go.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to Stories Worth Telling Part 2. We are live today with Don Kuster. For those of you that aren't privy to have known Don before this, you're definitely in for a treat. And so for those of you who don't know, Don is a local realtor here in Colorado Springs, really loved by her clients and people she comes in contact with. Don, before we kind of jump in to talk about kind of the real estate stuff, before you became a realtor, what are some of the other careers or jobs that you've had in the past?
I probably have one of the most entertaining resumes that you would ever see. So one thing about me is I love to learn and I love adventure. And I've really kind of done that in my careers. And so just kind of overview, I started working when I was 14 to tasseling corn. Anybody from the Midwest knows what that is. For everybody that doesn't, lucky you. But most of my career has actually been in either ministry or business development. I owned my own business, actually did direct sales and was very successful in my 20s. And then just did a multitude of things. So really, you're going to need the whole 45 minutes to go through the career highlights, but mostly ministry, event planning, business development, and relationship development are kind of the key things.
Okay. And would you say that all of those had basically prepared you for what you do now in real estate?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I don't think that there is an experience that I haven't got in just in life. Like, everything should compound anyway, in your development. Not even, I wouldn't say my career just not into real estate, but just my personal life. There's always lessons to be learned that I've taken. And I'm continually learning. Like, that's one of the things that I love about real estate is every time I go through something really hard, it makes me like I'm smarter, I'm wiser, and I'm a better agent.
Makes sense. Guys, if you are tuning in here live, go ahead and just type in the chat #live so that way we know if this is you're catching the video live or if you're actually catching it on a replay. Definitely helps us to kind of gauge. That way, some of the comments that are coming in, we know that if they are coming in live, we can definitely address them. If you have questions for Dawn, definitely post them in there and we'll make sure that she gets them addressed today. So number one housing market in Colorado, again, Colorado Springs, 4,600 realtors here in Colorado.
That's like Colorado Springs, and I think the number's higher. So not even Colorado. We're looking like just in the proper
just
Colorado
in Springs.
So.
Wow, crazy. Okay. So, yeah, you and 4,500 others that you basically are in competition with every single day. What do you think has attributed to your success? And obviously success ranges and is different for every single person. So I guess what is your definition of success? And then of course, how do you feel like that's helped you be able to make it in this industry that's really almost saturated?
Yeah, definitely great question. A lot of times we're up against each other. I'm always the person that comes into not and as a competition, but as a collaborative. There's always two sides to every deal. So as much as they're my competition, maybe on getting the listing or buyer, most likely I'm going to be seeing them on the other side. So I think that has actually helped to my success of just how I see my peers one-on-one. When you first brought this question up, it was actually kind of funny. I kind of sat to my thought. I'm like, well, I'm just like every other realtor. The truth is, as I thought about it, I'm nothing like any other realtor that I know. I'm not even like anybody in my office, and we've all gone through the same training and a whole bunch of other things that you would think that we are like, but I really do my business differently. One of the key things is my motivation why. Real estate, a lot of people get in and think it's going to be easy. It's going to be lots of money, and kind of get in possibly for the wrong reasons. And I came into a different thing. My husband was actually the one that suggested me getting into real estate. We were kind of in a season that we were just reevaluating. I was working 60 hours at a job launching a business for a doctor. And so now I'm like, and I was working long hours and I needed to be home with my family. At that time, Nick was working nights. in the ER. So we really needed to do something different for our family because we were getting into high school and middle school, and the kids were just needing having more activities. And so Nick was actually the one that suggested real estate to me. And at first I kind of looked at him like he was crazy. But he's like, Don, seriously, he's like, you love people, you're honest, and you take care of them. Sorry, my hair keeps falling because I'm sweating. It's hot in Colorado
Right,
today.
it is. It is.
Um, so he kind of just suggested, he's like, you love to take care of people, you're honest. And I'm like, but babe, it's like a used car salesman business. That's like one thing I won't sell, you know? And he's like, seriously, Don, you could be something different. Be a breath of fresh air and be honest and change the industry. And so that's kind of the attitude that I came with is I just wanted to be something. I really wanted to help people. I love a good deal. And so when I get a good deal, I tell everybody about it. So the good thing with real estate is I get to help people get good deals. So there's nothing better when a client gets a big old chunk at the end from making a wise investment, or they saved money on a house. You know, I just saw a client whose appraisal just came in over what they paid, and meaning that it's worth more than what they paid. And this market is absolutely crazy.
Absolutely.
So definitely just my motivation is really to serve people. You know, I do that for, that's just the one thing. Like I can really help people. I can see the difference and I get to see it in tangible ways. The other thing is just the service that I provide. And I do things that most agents would never do because A, they're too busy. They don't care. I don't want to say that they don't care enough, but just going above and beyond, you know, it's a first class service all the way. I do something different too. I limit my clients. I don't take, I don't want 400 deals a year because there is no way that I could take care of my clients, how they need to be, how they need to be treated, how they should be treated, and what they deserve if I had 10 transactions going on. So I really limit my transactions to make sure that I'm having the personal attention from start to finish. Nothing gets dropped through the cracks because cracks in real estate can go really deep, whether that be, just time, money, energy, investment, and stress. And so I just make sure that I dot my I's and cross my T's and go from there. So I think that's kind of some of the key things. I mean, I'm not going to give you all my other secrets, but as I was going through it, I got a lot of little things and tricks
Sure.
that really give me an edge because I'm not busy watching what other people doing. I'm creating my own world
Yeah, I love it.
and creating the Dawn way. And so, and it works. So I'm not messing it up. I love it and I have fun doing it. So, but yeah, there's definitely, if you're wanting, if you're looking for a realtor, definitely like ask the questions, but it definitely goes beyond just writing contracts and negotiations. There's a lot more that can go into that when you're listing a house. Nothing breaks my heart is when I see somebody list their house too low when they left money on the table, but they didn't hire me. So
That's awesome. I think that you touched base on a lot of different things there that, again, the approach is maybe different for every person. And again, that's kind of um, what I'm learning, right, in business is that people, they really want to work with people that they know, people that they care about, and people that are they going to take care of them. And the fact that you focus so much on quality versus quantity, I think says a
Oh,
lot.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and trust, like the one thing you just didn't mention was trust. Like people are, one of the things that humbles me every single day in this business is the people that decide to hire me. I don't take that lightly. You are entrusting me with one of your biggest assets and biggest decisions of your entire life. Most people don't buy and sell real estate every other day or an investor, so they need somebody that's knowledgeable, that has their back, that's going to think out of their best interest and not their own pocketbooks. And unfortunately, I think, there's just flaws sometimes in America where we, become self-centric versus other-centric. And the more, as just in business of kind of where I took my ministry and my service background and crossed it with my business, is to have that, I don't do the ministry side of things, but I do, that's still the heart behind everything that I do.
Certainly, and it's a different variation, right, of ministry. Basically wherever you're at, still being able to, find a way to bless others and to be able to help people in any capacity that you're in. A lot of people kind of similar, right? They're like, you're in insurance, but you would be good at this, or you would be great at that, and and it's just, well, I just happen to be here, and I can still do those things. So the same process, and I think that's why I was so happy, that I was able to get you kind of really to be the first one outside of Sharon to jump in this.
Mhm.
But one of the teasers that we had put up here for this, was w- w- how did you change my life, right? And a lot of people don't know this, but you were actually the very first client that I ever had when I launched the agency. And what better way to be able to kind of reciprocate and basically have you be the first guest to come on here? And I'm really thankful for that because I had no idea at all how I was going to be able to acquire any clients, how I was going to be able to do this, because I'd been in insurance forever, but I'd never gotten my own leads. I'd never created opportunity for myself. And fast forward, here we are, 8 months later, and we're pushing like 230
Um,
clients, I think, and we're just crossed over just under $500,000 in sales. So all these
Yay!
different things is really crazy, But I never forget that you were the very first one who said, "Yeah, I'd be willing to give you a chance." So thank you. It
Well,
greatly
one
changed.
thing I want to say, I gave you the first policy, but 5 and all the referrals after, you've earned every single one of those. You're an amazing agent. Just because I have a high level of service that I do, I have that same expectation, and you've blown it out of the water, not only for me, but for all my friends and clients. And I think you're actually working on one for my sister right now. So
Yes. Yeah. Yes, so I
I just
greatly
celebrate.
appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, and so I love the fact that that I can tell that, and I try to have that same interaction with all of my clients, so that way I know, kind of like you, that I know what's going on, that I don't necessarily have to have a huge brand of flux of clients as long as I'm spending quality time with each one, and that I'm meeting their needs and maybe exceeding their expectations because I feel like that there's industry standards that are not being met. But on top of that, I feel like each person should have a different and unique experience. Some of the things that maybe they haven't gotten in the past. So,
No,
um,
absolutely. And I think that's why we work so well together, because we have this
yes,
kind of similar background and
absolutely.
goal.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, that kind of that service mentality first, I think is a great way to lead. So this is a kind of a question I've been throwing out there to a lot of people. Um, and I think this kind of goes hand in hand with a post that you recently had here. So before we get to this question that I've had, you had a post recently that really stood out to me, and it basically says, um, you were asking people, what did they learn? What did they pick up during this COVID-19 stuff? And so kind of throw that back directly to you. What were some of the things that you had learned? Any new skills, any new traits, things like that?
We have, so it's kind of interesting, just to kind of catch people up on our life a little bit. Last year, about this time, we made a decision that I don't call it downsizing, I call it right sizing, whether you're
Mm,
going up or down. I just had a bigger house than I wanted. I had a mortgage that was a little bit bigger. Not that we can afford it, don't get me wrong on that. But I just really wanted to streamline my life, really simplify it in a way that would allow me to have more room to take care of my clients, be a mom, be a wife, um, to the level that I wanted. And so we had downsized, we had done some things. Part of our transition was that we actually brought in homeschooling into our life,
mm,
in some kind of unique ways. So we kind of did some transition a year ago that prepped us that COVID did not, I shouldn't say shouldn't affect us as much, but it definitely made the transition smoother.
mm,
Um, there were things like, my husband still goes to work because he's a nurse. And actually I've been busier than I've ever been in the last, thing. So nothing really transitioned. So I didn't have a whole lot of time. I still have to do my taxes. So I have not got as much done and accomplished. Actually, it's probably slowed me down,
mm,
meaning like getting things done that I was hoping to get done.
sure.
Because I lost my child care for my 2-year-old. So if anybody has a toddler, this is what I've decided. If you walk away to do a project for an hour and she is minimally being supervised by anyone under the age of 20, there's going to be about an equivalent of about a 2-hour cleanup.
Right.
So is usually about what I figure. So if I just choose to do something for an hour, there'll be 2 hours of work for me at the other end of this. So every minute counts, Patrick. So make these questions count.
Okay. No, I agree
um,
wholeheartedly.
so it has not been as profitable for me on doing things. I have been doing landscaping.
Oh,
My
okay.
husband, with my husband being in the hospital, and having to make a lot of decisions and hard decisions, and planning, he's been extremely stressed. And so I've been trying to take off some more of that. And so just pulling weeds and mowing, and, possibly we're looking at doing some concrete. So I've been doing some of my own designing and subcontracting and working with those, which isn't like necessarily a new thing, but it's just kind of fun to do. My dad is a contractor. I do have a little bit of construction in the background of me.
Okay.
So that's why I'm also with houses, and that I'm not scared to get my hands dirty.
Sure.
But I'm not playing with concrete by myself.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, so just kind of, you know, I'm probably the only person. I like to stay home longer so I can catch up on things, because everybody else's house is clean and organized, and mine is not.
Right. I think it's cool though that I think one of the best things is that we have seen a lot of great things come from some of this in terms of families being together. A lot of times families didn't have that opportunity to really be together. And yeah, of course, marriage is going to be work, relationships are going to be work, even if it's with your kids. But the fact that when was the last time that families could say they consistently ate dinner together, or that they spent quality
Oh,
time together, because we're always on the go, and then of course the community aspect of people. Yeah, I mean, despite seeing a lot of the ugliness in the news and social media, but we've seen a lot of great things come from community of people caring for each other, people looking out for each other, checking in on people, and I think that you know, despite with all the busyness, I've seen a lot of those things, and so now that we've gotten a small glimpse of the craziness and the chaos part of the life of Don, so this next question I think is always kind of a good reflection, but if time and money and training and all those things that prohibit us from maybe kind of daydreaming and whatnot, what would you be doing ideally? What would be kind of something that you would want to pursue?
oh, you're gonna have me like divulge all my secrets that I have and my back thing. So I really have like a 3-point life. I haven't put it down exactly into the terms that I want, but ultimately I want to create a life that I love. And it looks different for everybody. Like, that's kind of the thing that I think people get surprised. Like, you need to have this big fancy $1 million house, and you have to have all these things to arrive in life. And ultimately, I think you said it earlier, everybody has different goals and different things that are important to them. I carry a $10 purse. Can I carry a $3,000 purse? Yes. But do I? No. Like, it's not important to me. Does that make it worse that it's important to my people, my friends? Absolutely not. But everybody has different goals. And so I think creating the life that you love, and I love that does. And that's kind of what we did last year. Was I was trying to create more family closeness
Mm,
and intimate family moments, and really savoring those, which is really hard to do. And, when you're trying to work and balance everything out, and we were missing each other. So just creating the life that I love. And so that's definitely family centric. I do love my family and my extended family, and spending time with them. We have my sister in town, but all of our other family lives back in the Midwest, and just making sure that we have the time and flexibility to get back when we need to, and when time allows and stuff, and just being part of that is really important to me.
mm,
The next thing is, just to leave a legacy. And for me, there was actually a class, I went to Ozark Christian College for my freshman year in college. Um, in Joplin, Missouri, and there's a professor. He's actually now the president, Matt Proctor. So if anybody sees this, will see it. We took a class called or Christian Disciplines, and it was this class just about what we do as Christians. Well, one of our assignments was to go out and do random acts of kindness. projects. So like we'd go out and wash car windows in the parking lot, go clean toilets and gas stations, just do it. And that was over 20 years ago. Now I'm dating myself. But that really left a lasting impact on me. And we have not always been in a comfortable financial situation. We've actually been in debt quite a bit twice, had to pay it out. I now say that, besides our mortgage, we're completely debt free.
Wow.
Through college and cars. So we've really done a lot of training to get back into this place. And my whole goal is I want to be in a place that I can give and do some really amazing things. Like I have this whole non-for-profit vision. I've never spoken this out anywhere in public, but I want to have a non-for-profit where all I do is go around and bless people randomly,
Oh,
whether it's seeing a mom struggling trying to feed her kid at the restaurant because it's just misbehaving, because that's my life, and paying that meal, or somebody that needs a car, single mom, just there's so many things, or just so that's all I want to do. Like that's kind of like, if there was no limit to anything, that would be where my thing is just to bring joy unexpectedly to people without anything in return, and anonymously. So yeah,
I
that
love
would be
that.
kind of it.
I love that.
Or a shack. A shack on the ocean wouldn't be so bad. So self quarantine
Right.
has made me really rethink about what I want for my view in my backyard. I don't want a big house. I still don't want that. I want a smaller house. But I'd love a shack on the ocean or water. I'm a water babe at heart. And even though I do not have a swimsuit, but I don't care.
I love that. You just want to help. You know.
Yeah. So, so that kind of just goes back to like the core of me, who I am. I want to serve, and serve wholeheartedly and abundantly. So,
Yeah. Denise, thank you for tuning in. She says I was waiting here on the something for everything page, but she's happy to be here. And Sharon says love Dawn. So
oh, thanks, guys.
yeah, and I think this is incredible. I love when people have the idea and the thought process to think about their legacy. I know that was something that you touched base on, and I'm so thankful that somebody was able to instill that into me at such a young age. And I look back on it, and like a lot of people, they don't think about their legacy until it's almost too late. The ideas and the processes that they could have done, the could have, should have, would have. So the fact that you not only are thinking about that, but you're actually making those changes, making those strides to be able to leave that, so that way your kids can remember, like, man, this is what family should feel like. We should be spending quality time together. That it didn't matter. My parents, yeah, they actually downgraded their house to a smaller size so that way we could have those moments. Those are those things that are kind of like unteachable moments, that you can't, as a kid, you would never know until you get older and you can appreciate that. So I would like that you're thinking about that ahead of time.
No, absolutely. And I really have to contribute that to my granddad, Harold Wyatt. He has been gone now for 21 years this August, but I had a granddad who just spoke, which I had amazing grandparents all the way, so I'm not going to discredit any of them. But my granddad, Harold, went above and beyond just to love us and love us well and make moments. He has a cool story, really cool story of life, but he was an only child, and lived on the farm, and just made every moment on the farm a teaching lesson, a learning lesson, an experience, an adventure. So there was just some really cherished moments. But what's really cool, he's been gone 21 years, and some of the decisions financially, and as life has continued to perpetuate how I live my life 21 years, like I'm still learning lessons. Just the other day, it's one that I missed, which is just crazy, that because I like hold on to every story that my granddad had. But my mom told me a new one, and I'm just going to share it because it's kind of has to do with the quarantine. So, he would be like close to 100 now. So if you kind of date that, he's older. But when he was growing up in the 40s and during war, and when they were doing rations, he would get a nickel. And a nickel would go buy him a Hershey's chocolate bar every Saturday. That was what they did. And then it was his job Okay, this is as a 10-year-old, to make that chocolate bar last for that entire week till he got his nickel again so he could get a chocolate bar. And my mom would just, it was telling how Granddad would talk about how sometimes he would break it in squares and divide it between days. Sometimes it was a nibble at a time, and sometimes it made it to, he was all excited when he could make it to last till that Friday. Sometimes it didn't, but just the discipline. And it was really good because I used that conversation with my kids when we started the COVID and just the
Mhm.
toilet paper scare, and so much that, this is a time for us to learn how to make our resources last. We have been so blessed in growing up in a time and a generation where we have everything at our fingertips that can be in our house within minutes. And there's been a surplus of it. And there's, only what your money can buy and then what MasterCard and Visa will buy for you. And we've never had this restriction. And I think it really kind of brought out some, COVID has brought good out, but I think it's also shown some flaws in the American people and how we can be better. I'm never going to say that somebody's wrong for what they do because I believe in the choice of rights, and you get to choose how you live your life. But I also, one thing that I always tell my kids is we did good, but we want to be better, and always just striving to be better. And so I think that's just one thing that we can learn. But yeah, so is my granddad. If you guys just want to have lunch with me and let me talk about my granddad and all the lessons you can learn from his life, I should really write a book because he was just an amazing man. And so that's why I do it. Is I want my grandkids to still get so excited about talking to me 20 years and telling their kids stories about me and the lessons that they learned and the fun that they had and the adventures that they had. Um, that's what I want. So that's
I
where I'm
like,
going towards.
yeah, I like it, and it's crazy that again, um, my grandparents, they were some of the biggest motivators for me, right? And but when you have that, there's seems to be always kind of somebody that you resonate with in the family that always has, I don't know, they just you felt like that they had like so much wisdom that just all of a sudden it resonates with you when you're older and you're like, man, I remember that. And it's crazy that I haven't thought about that in 20 years, and all of a sudden it pops up and you remember it like it happened yesterday. So I think about stuff like that, about stuff that my father used to say, and there's kind of an interesting or a funny page on Facebook. It says, shit my dad says is the name of it, and it's all these dadisms, that these fathers used to say. And for me, the biggest one that I remember from my dad is basically he used to say, "You don't know anything because you don't do anything." And then, of course, I was like in my teenage years, so it was basically like if it wasn't football time or if it wasn't sports season, then I was basically lazing around. I didn't. My first job was at 14, but I worked in and out, during sports seasons and stuff. So that means I didn't really hold a job for very long, oftentimes, as a kid. But I just remember that saying sticking out so fondly, and now I look back and I'm like, I catch myself like looking at the some of these kids, that are out there and doing some things. I'm like, man, my dad would basically have a field day with these kids right now. So, um,
Right? I have a field day with mine and I still feel like I'm not doing a good job. I think it's hard because as parents, we forget what our parents did for us,
mm,
and like pretty soon kind of hits you like what things do you want your kids to take on that your parents taught you? What can I was really blessed. I have four amazing grandparents. I actually still have both my grandmas are still alive. And I'm almost 40, which is just a blessing. I've had tons of memories and moments and wisdom piled on me. You know, and I still we have still all have all of our parents, and so we're really fortunate
mm,
for both me and Nick that we've had that, and really savored those moments, and even the ones that are gone, that we can pass those stuff on to our kids and really glean to that. So I think it's just a good time. And maybe this is a good one of the things that I wanted to do, which we have them on VHS and they're at my mom's, but she has the 8 millimeter video cameras of my granddad. And
oh
that was one
wow,
thing, if I have time to sit, I was like, Mom, can you get those on DVD so we can go through them with my kids? Because,
yeah,
and even my husband didn't meet my granddad. We met
mm,
6 months later, but, and just having those. And I think this would be a good time, COVID. Like if I was going to suggest somebody as we're talking what to do is really go back and sit down with your kids and tell them stories of your grandparents or your parents or people that have been gone, and let leave that light of a legacy, and what lessons can they learn in the process. Or if the great thing is if they're still alive, call them and have them tell stories to your kids. Like sometimes I'm horrible about not taking full advantage of that, the way that we're able to communicate these days.
Sure. I think we all are, and a lot of it's because of maybe the technology piece, but I think it's kind of a lost art in itself. You think back of like all these uh, tribes and these times, of like bards and stuff like that. I mean, the art of storytelling has really gone away. And even when you are sitting there and having conversation, whether it be at work or at social functions, the people that always have people that gravitate to them the most are the people with the best stories. So
Mm,
I think it's interesting, to for you to bring that up, and that's something that I talk about all the time, just because, from a writing perspective, I've been in the poetry scene for a long time. And it wasn't until basically that I had a poetry mentor that talked about the importance of voice and the importance of words and, all those different
mm,
things, and, ties it back. And he's like, the most influential people, or the people that are getting people to talk, right? And of course, you look at politics, for example, and yet, you don't have to agree with them, but you get people talking. So I think that's great. And yeah, if you have access to those, to be able to convert them and for your kids to be able to see that, and again, that's his legacy that he's leaving behind. So I love
absolutely.
it.
So,
Cool. So let me do this here, guys. Let me pull up the information here for Dawn. So this is going to be her Facebook
okay.
page, website, email, and phone number. If you go check out the Facebook page, I was actually on there this morning because there's a beautiful home that was put up here. Can you tell us about this listing off of Cinnamon?
Oh, Cinnamon Court. Well, it's not mine, but it is in Banning Lewis Ranch, and anybody knows me is kind of my like sweet spot in life, since we lived there for 5 years. But yeah, it's just a great ranch, priced well, under 450 with a 2-car garage over in Banning Lewis. So yeah, that's kind of perfect timing. All my houses, I only have one that hasn't closed, so I'm about ready to open up some spots to bring some more clients on. Because yeah, like I only do about maximum clients that I have working at one time is 4.
Okay.
That's right now where just I feel my most comfortable spaces. So I do have some openings. Yeah, everybody's under contract and closed last week.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
in the midst of COVID, we pulled off some really great miracles. So
That's awesome. Yeah, congratulations. And
thank
again,
you.
I love the fact that you know your boundaries. You're like, I'm going to take 4 because that still allows me to have that balance with my family. That allows me to still focus and make sure that I'm doing a good job, and that that quality piece that we talked about versus the quantity. Because I know that some people would be like, "Oh, I'm so tired. I've got 5 closing, but you know what? I'll take them on," and then they kind of stretch themselves too thin. And so I love the fact that you've actually instilled that to know, and to know who you are in regards to that, so that way you can still have all those things and still have not be the person that's like snapping at their kids and all the time, because
Exactly.
you're stressed and tired. So kudos to you on that. That's something I think
20
that
years of learning is contribute 20 years of learning, and wisdom comes with that. There's to a point where it's just not worth it, and no paycheck is worth a marriage or kids or the mental stability of you. And it's taken a long time to not listen to the sounds of the world and media and the propaganda, and to say enough is, it's okay to say this is enough, and not to chase after the moon and the stars and everything. Because again, I'm my end goal is going to be what they say about me when I'm gone. So that's kind of a big thing.
yeah.
There was one other thing I was going to say about that. Oh, here, just because we're all about helping people. And I know that there's a lot of business owners on here. So back to my storytelling, you're going to realize I got lots of stories. But when I was 21 and a director in a direct sales company, there was a lady that said, there's nowhere in the Bible, this is getting biblical a little bit, but there's nowhere in the Bible does it say balance. Like God does not talk about balance in the Bible. He talks about harmony. And there's going to be seasons that ebb and flow. So there's going to be some times where your business is high and your family is low, and you're low and family, and there's times and seasons. And to be able to, keep your heartbeat onto that, has been a huge thing that I have done in my life, and just knowing where the harmony is, and being able to do, okay, to listen to that and to follow that, because balance is about 50-50 all the way around, or 10-10-10, 10%. And that's not always true, because, there are things that should take precedence over work sometimes, and other things. So
I
there's a
love that.
little side note.
I love
I like
that.
the word harmony better than balance.
Yeah, no, I like that. And then, talking about the ebbs and flows, um I think one of the things that, being able to share with people and let people know is that, we're all going to experience those highs and those lows. And once
Mm-hmm.
you understand that those highs aren't going to last forever, that allows you to hold on to them a little tighter when they are there. But also that also gives you an opportunity to look up, to know that the better things are coming when you're in those lows. And so I love the fact that, the idea of that balance is maybe not necessarily the right thing to chase, but harmony is, and being able to make the best of those peaks and valleys. I really like that. So you've taught me something today, so I appreciate that. But I feel like I learn something every time that we have a conversation. So
We make each other better.
yes,
Iron sharpens iron.
yes, and I think that one of the things that people maybe are lacking in terms of maybe their professional relationships as well as their personal relationships is knowing that you can come to the table and that you can bring these ideas, and people oftentimes feel like that maybe if they don't agree with everything, that they're maybe not a good fit. And I think what's nice is that oftentimes, you and I, where maybe I've had something on Facebook and you're like, well, from my perspective, this is something different. Let's talk about it. And we go and we talk about it, and it's like, I didn't think about that. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, I can see where you're coming from on that. And so the fact that we don't have to basically just agree on everything, but we can still turn around, still have that dialogue, and still have this understanding that, like, what, like, I'm really appreciative for your perspective, even though it's different from mine, or things like that. And I think that is a big thing that's kind of missing in today's world because of all the social media.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest things. Like right now, I shouldn't probably be talking about this, but that's just the person I am. Like, can we just all leave each other alone? Can I just do this public announcement out? You're seeing my face. You just can see that it's not in a text, but I'm like, guys, just let everybody make their own decisions and leave them alone. Don't rat them out. Don't throw them under the bus. Don't, please do not shame them. We are all adults here. Like, anyways, but do not litter, and do not be mean. That's what I ask.
PSA.
So
Don
it's just really sad. It's really sad that
It
people
is.
can't feel like they can express their opinions without being attacked. I don't think I don't care if you're an alien and you want to express it. You should be able to express your feelings, and you have the right to that. We do live in America, and the only way that we're going to lose our rights is if we take them away.
Right.
So
Yeah. No, I agree.
and guys, just love each other and let people make decisions on their yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother 45-minute segment of
Right.
Dawn's thoughts
Right.
yesterday morning early. I should not get up at 4 a.m. Like, that's when I get my quiet time in, where I can think and process, and it's not always it's probably not always helpful in my little head that I every once in a while get on a soapbox, and
we
then
all
I get
go
off.
through it. Yeah, we all go through it. There's my even, I guess, as tired as I've been, I think I told you, how busy I've been over especially the last month and a half. Um,
Yeah.
Gosh, I still can't sleep. I'm having these ideas, or I'm like, oh man, that would be some great things to write down, or I'm like, I haven't really had that time for some writing and some debriefing, so I put together some stuff, and next thing I know, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, all right, try to lay down for a few hours, get up, finish at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock work, and then I'm dead tired. And then, like, Sharon will get mad at me because I'm like starting to doze off or whatever, and then again I'm up, and then it happens all over again. So it's everybody. I think just when you have so much going on, and so again, trying to find that harmony, right? It can be a process, you know what I mean? But you're as long as you're respecting kind of your body and understanding, listening to it more often than not, I think that we're all trying to find better, and trying to be in a better position and
Mhm.
better spot, and make sure that we're good parents and good, good business owners and all those different things. So, it's a work in progress all the time. So, okay, so just being cognizant of your time and stuff like that. Probably, I think, cut down to just kind of these last two questions here.
Okay.
So right
I need to
now,
write this.
what is your top accomplishment that you would say, both professionally and then also personally?
Okay, say that one. Somebody texted me and it beeped at the time you're asking the question.
No worries. What would you say your what is your top accomplishment, both professionally as well as
My
personally?
gosh. Top accomplishment. Right now, I am really proud of where we are financially. We're not where we need to be, but the thought that we purchased two new cars cash in the last 6 months. We resized our house and cut $1,000 off of our monthly bill. We've also increased our income quite a bit so that we could be in a place. I really feel like that's a big accomplishment because we got married young. And we just learned along the way, and I've stayed home, pretty primarily stayed home or worked from home, probably 95% of our life.
Mm,
Did something of our marriage life, 90 to 95%. I put and put Nick through school. We paid his school off. We paid mine. We both have bachelor's degrees. Um, so when I see sometimes when people are struggling, especially in this economy and with the COVID and watching people lose jobs, and so many uncertainties, right now I have to feel that's my biggest accomplishment, um, because it shows the wisdom
mm,
and the hard work. Um, but it also prepares me for that legacy that I want. Does that kind of make sense? Like, it
yeah,
kind of sounds like a weird accomplishment to have,
not at all.
but having that security of not, like, ultimately, here's the truth. If we both lost our jobs tomorrow and I didn't sell a house for the rest of the year and Nick lost his job, we could still make it. And we're far from, we are not even close to multimillionaires. I don't even think I'm like on step 4 of Dave Ramsey yet. So,
I,
but I see so many people that struggle. And the more that I see those numbers of how much debt people have, and I've been there. Like, I'm not even saying that of a judgment, just now being on the other side. Like, it's kind of like you're talking with your dad. You haven't been there yet.
mm-hmm,
I never thought we'd be out. I never thought we'd be out. And it took us a long time to get there. But now that we are, I see how it works.
yeah.
Um, and what freedom that has given to the internal me, and the stress and the freedom to live versus worrying about, do I have enough money to buy diapers or groceries, or, how in the world am I going to pay off this credit card? Um, there's a time we were even on food stamps way back when. So, like I said, we've come a long way. But yeah, I think that's right now that I feel like one of the bigger accomplishments, for me personally, is just, and that's just because of the security and freedom that it gives a family. So,
I think it's amazing, and honestly, you should give yourself a pat on the back, because there are so many people that are in the struggle, right? And I would say probably more than most, um, that are dealing with that. And what I'm learning is that a lot of people don't have a plan in place. They're not working the steps. People who have overdue bills, they just kind of let them pile up versus maybe calling out to the company to say, hey, you know what, I'm going through some tough times. Can you work with me? It's just those little things, but you don't know to do that because you're struggling, because it's so easy to just, if it's out of sight, out of mind, then it won't stress me out as much. You know what I mean? But
exactly.
and it's kind of the complete opposite of, because we don't teach these things in school. We don't talk about these things with our children, right? Because we don't want them to know that we're failing or that we're struggling from that aspect. So I think that you guys are setting a great example for your kids, and I know that you've expressed, you know, of some figuring out somehow how to be able to apply this and help other people, to be able to get to this similar position and stuff like that. So, um,
Things that are coming.
Good, good. I can't wait.
um, so
So
one of those things on my list that I haven't got to. But yeah, the more that I talk to people, because even though I don't need to know the financial situation to sell houses, most of the time I have no idea of what's going on in people's finances, because I can still buy or sell their house without that. That's more on the lending side of things, mortgage side of things. And
mhm,
really, I don't feel like I need to pry. Like, I'm not nosy. um that's going to sound distasteful, but I don't really care. But if but sometimes I do have clients that share that they're needing help, and that just motivates me that much more.
sure.
Actually, I just always assume everybody needs every penny that they possibly can get off their house, or they need every penny to save to get on their house. So I just live it like that, and that's probably why we've gotten to the situation we do. I still live like I'm poor. um, my kids still think we're poor. um, my daughter works at Chick-fil-A. She has more in her bank account than I do, because she doesn't spend it. And that's just, if you don't have holes in your underwear and socks, you don't need new ones. We wear things out. We just got 2 new cars. Our cars were over 10 years old. They were falling apart. So when we buy new cars, we buy them to have them for 10 years.
Yeah,
So just, there's a lot of little lessons in looking at the long term versus a short term return, that where brains have been trained to do. And it's so hard. It's so hard. Here's just kind of an example to kind of give people hope. So last weekend I went and looked at a swim spa, because if I'm going to be in my backyard with my kids for like who knows how long, we need things to do, because our house is small and we're all trying to work and do different jobs in school and education, and we have a toddler. So I was looking at doing like a swim spa. Those things are not cheap. And I looked at it, and can I afford it? And as Dave Ramsey said, if you can pay cash, you can afford it, which that's a big eye opener. Because I watched this video last week. I don't know if anybody else caught that. That was the first time I've actually listened to Dave Ramsey do like a presentation,
oh, I
even
saw
though
the
I
one you posted. Yeah,
follow
so
a lot of I follow a lot of his principles, but I've actually never done a Dave Ramsey class. And that was the first time I listened to it. I've just listened to every once in a while I'd listen to the radio. And so I listened to it. And I had such conviction thinking about buying a swim spa. I didn't buy the swim spa. I went and paid off my car. Like, I had a little bit of finance for a whopping 37 days before
right,
I paid the whole thing off. Um, but that's just the thing, like, it's so easy to be like, oh, I deserve this. Oh, I can afford this. Oh, this would be so great for my family. Oh, my kids would love this. Oh, we'll have so much fun. Like, I was justifying in my head that swim spot. I don't know how many times. But it feels good. I own that car now. So, but it's hard. It's a hard, one of the best advice that I can give to people is find somebody out there that is a step ahead, and
sure,
find an accountability partner, and find somebody you trust. Like, not everybody is, probably trustworthy,
sure.
but finding somebody outside, sometimes a spousal unit, that can hold you guys accountable,
Mm,
whether it be a parent, a grandparent, a friend, a mentor, somebody to hold you accountable, because it's just so easy. And it's so easy sometimes when you're on the same team, especially if you're both spenders, um, just to continue to let that go. Um,
I
but I
feel
can
attacked.
tell
Yeah,
you at
I
the end
feel
of the
attacked.
road, it's pretty stinking awesome. The freedom, because it's amazing how, like, we used to laugh when people would tell us, like, oh, when you get older and you have things paid off, it's so nice. And you'll be surprised how much money you have. And because it's not going to pay credit cards or school loans or stuff. And they were right. We didn't think it was true, but it is. So,
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's actually. I think you gave me so much more value. Like I had no doubts that you were going to bring so much value to this, but I think that
oh,
you've given us so many nuggets like in this short amount of time. It's incredible. And so I personally, I can't thank you enough for your willingness to come on here and do this. But I think now everybody's just kind of gotten like a small taste as to why why you're so incredible, why you're so good at what you do, why, people are better, for having you in their lives and stuff like that. I know I personally am, and I know that Sharon feels the same way. And, so I'm just thankful for you willing to come on here and spend some time with me and just be you, and I think that that is very much needed, in today's world, especially in the business world. So I'm glad that, that to be able to say that you're part of my team and part of my network and vice versa. And you gave us quite a bit of advice and stuff like that. But for maybe your colleagues in the same industry as you right now, with them being so many and with you having a complete different take of being able to focus on the quality piece and not necessarily the quantity. So for maybe some of the people who are maybe new to the industry, or those who are maybe only doing 1 or 2 homes per year or something like that, maybe they don't have 4 lined up every month or closing as many. What would some of the advice that you can go ahead and provide to them to be able to help them, take some encouragement from this?
I think the truth, one of the things starting out for me, you're so inundated with trying to learn the business. And I don't have like a magic solution. I do me, and I do it really well because it's something I do. If you don't fake, you can't, if you fake it, then you won't, I don't know. Like it took me a long time to be comfortable in my own skin,
Sure.
in my own life and who I was. And that's a whole another 45-minute segment. But it took me a long time to own it. And I love who I am. And I love loving people. And so I think that's been the biggest thing to my success is be true to yourself and be true to your clients. Honesty goes a long way. Be upfront with them. I think that's probably one of the best advices. I see so many agents, like, I don't know. If you call it showboating, I don't know. Like sometimes that's probably what annoys me the most. Like, I don't know if you have it in your profession, but I know, you don't have to tell me every day you're great. Like, just show it, And so, um, I under promise and, there's good things. Be honest to yourself, be honest to your clients. But then under promise and over deliver, is a big thing. The only times that you lose is when you've lied to somebody and then you can't make the things, and then the dissatisfaction where it could be the exact opposite reaction. Man, because real estate's hard. It is hard. It is like, I'm in year 5. So I got in it before the big old urge came on that this was a cool career to have. Um, so my real estate agent is actually my broker. I've been with her for 5 years because I'm pretty stinking loyal. And so I'd worked with her as my agent before I came on to her team. And then now we have the company. But she like scared the living daylights out of me before she let me become a realtor. I mean this and all things. I was her number one referral. Like I gave her so many referrals, it wasn't even funny.
Sure.
Because she did an awesome job. Like I would have paid her twice. Because she was so awesome. And that's how I want my clients to feel about me now is I pay them twice. So I knew that the things that I wanted, so it made sense to it. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just like, she scared the living daylights out of me. Like, she's like, Dawn, here's all the things that can go wrong. This is hard. This is sucky. And then I got into the classes and I saw that it was hard and sucky on the classes. And then I got into it and I absolutely love it. Like it eats my supper at night. Like I love the process. Is dysfunctional sometimes it is. And been hard. Patrick, I've lost sleep too, but it's me dreaming about real estate and what I have to tell my clients or what I have to fight with another agent about. So there's a lot of things that come into it. So you just have to be ready for that. If you're not, I think long-term, I'm building a long-term business. I'm not a fly-by-night agent. That's I'm going deep versus wide, because this is an easy market. I hate to say this, but anybody that has a pulse could probably sell a house or could sell a house. Now it's changing very quickly.
Sure.
But just, stay true to yourself. So I think those are kind of the tips. And don't quit. If you want it, you don't quit. And that's in any profession.
Yeah, that's anything.
It's too easy to. It is too easy to quit when it gets hard. If you fire yourself or quit one day, just make sure you're rehiring yourself the next morning.
I like that.
And have good professionals around you. I think that's been a huge thing. Whether it's been having mentors around me or a peer beside with me has been a huge aspect into my success. If I did this alone, I would have quit probably 2 months in. So find a good circle, a good strong circle.
Awesome. Thank you. Man, you are a just a magnet of wisdom and advice.
Stop it, Patrick. You're going to give me an ego. My husband's not going to want to live with me. It was actually cute. Last night he was in bed and he saw the post. He's like, "You're doing an interview?" And then he goes, "You changed Patrick's life?" I'm like, "He wrote that?"
That's hilarious.
So it's kind of cute. But like I said, I think, when you find other professionals that are like-minded, we do change each other's life because we can, we sharpen each other.
Yeah,
And sometimes, it's not always tangible in success when people say, a lot of times everybody wants it on numbers or, whether it's transactions or quantity or clients, or, policies that you're writing, but it goes so much more.
yeah,
Life is so much more than, I know your clients are not just another policy to you, just like it's not another transaction for me. So,
right, right. Yeah, it's one thing to take home a paycheck, right? And I think you can do that anywhere. You could go to McDonald's, you could work up in a call center, you could literally line up for any job and basically just show up and do the bare minimum just to be able to get paid, right? But when you enjoy something where you're creating your own opportunities, when you're making things the way that you want and you're trying to make change, you may not change the industry overall, but you'll definitely stick out like a sore thumb because of you trying to do so, right? And because you're trying to improve the process and trying to make it better, and again, I know for a fact I'm not going to be able to insure everybody, right?
mhm.
Because the demand, I again, it's just like you. I can't serve the way that I want to, and I can't be as hands-on as I would like to, but I have a place right now where I have to reevaluate. Before I was going no more than 28 days without some sort of form of contact or connection. And now I'm realizing with as many clients as I have that that's not possible. So now I have to reevaluate, and it's probably going to be pushed out to 35 days, But I look around and I look at my peers, and when I talk to clients, they weren't even getting 365 days. You know what I mean? So, again,
I think mine was like 785 till I needed them.
you know,
But
so
you're so right. Like, but good for you for reevaluating because, I think that's to the success. And Patrick, here's the thing is on the forefront of how you take care of people, no one is ever going to question, oh, I didn't hear Patrick. It's 7 days delayed from when I heard from Patrick. And question your dedication as a client, in the policy or in the business or your professionalism if you don't get to them soon enough. I mean, I always love your messages, don't get me wrong, but I want you to give yourself a little bit of grace.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, awesome. Well, again, thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun. I
Yeah,
feel like we could have a show.
I'm not opposed.
I'm starting to think we might need to work on something.
I'm just
I may
saying.
I may have more jokes next time and inappropriate comments to make it a little bit more
I,
colorful, but we
I'm
might
work,
have to work something out.
I'm totally down. I'm working on 2 podcasts right now. There's a good opportunity for that. And I think that people generally kind of just enjoy you and as a storyteller, and the things that you're leaving behind for your family. So I think that we definitely have a lot to learn, and that you've brought up so many different things here. And then next week, next Thursday, or actually Wednesday, we're going to do 2 next week as well. So next Wednesday, we will be live with David Reyes. He's actually the pastor of Keystone Church, and he's also a realtor, which is it's interesting, right? That you can do both. Which just an incredible person.
There's a lot of hand in hand that goes in with that, but
Definitely. Well, and again, we talked about it today, with the ministry and the service side and stuff like that. So and then next Thursday we actually have Denise De Filippo, who's actually been an amazing referral partner for me as a lender, but just the type of person that she is, she's incredible. So I'm looking forward to doing those as well. And I think that, I know that Denise was on. I don't know if she's still watching or whatnot here, but I know that she would tuned in and she was excited to have to watch yours today. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
thank you again. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you're watching this live, in the comments, just go ahead and type in hashtag live so that way we know that you're watching it live. If it was something that maybe you caught after the fact, you can just type in hashtag replay. That way we just kind of get an engagement in terms of when people saw this. And any additional questions that come up, definitely reach out to Dawn. All of her contact is in here at the bottom of the video. So you got the Facebook, you got her website, you've got her email, phone number. And again, I think that you've heard it from her words directly that she's not necessarily there just to take care of you and your home. But if you have questions and you're interested in maybe asking her about how she was able to get debt free. She's an excellent resource. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And hope you guys have a great, enjoy the rest of your week and weekend.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.